Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans alike, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago, one of the couple, two, three best podcasts around. So sit back, grab yourself a cold one and a Polish sausage, park your keister in the French room, and listen to Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose, as long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we are going to have a very special guest, and we're going to be talking Bulls. We're going to be talking about the White Sox, Cubs, and lots of other goodness. First, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. Sure, season is over right now, but that shouldn't stop you from heading on over to icehogs.com. Get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, sign up for season tickets and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Alex, we have a very, very special guest on the show today, and I would like for you to introduce our friend.
All right. Thank you for putting me on the spot here. I would love to do it. So, as you listeners have listened to us before, we are very good friends with the boys at Bawl, one of the best shows out there if you want to get some good basketball talk and some other fun shenanigans. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce the man, the legend, Big Dave. What's up, Big Dave?
Hey, man, Sean, what is happening? That was awesome, man. Hey, put him on the spot more often. That was really good.
I was sweating. You can't see it, but I was sweating.
But
no, for real, I'm excited to have you here, man.
Oh, man, thank you, man. I really do appreciate that. I appreciate how you said Ball. That was very, very on point. You did everything right, man. That was good. But thank you.
Well, you got to say it like that. I mean, it doesn't have the same effect if you don't say it like that.
I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he's like, you guys recording tonight? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, have our friend Big Dave coming on. And he goes, you know Big Dave? I was like, dude, how you listen to the shows? Like, how do you? And he goes, I don't know. And he's like, I listen to Lockdown Bulls. And he's like, I love that guy.
Oh man, thank you, man. Yeah, me and Sean go way back, man. When I first started, like, really getting into podcasting and doing it like that. Sean used to always come on our shows, and we used to yell about the Bears and how ridiculous they were. And it just, yeah, we just been cool ever since then, man. He's a great guy. And yeah, it's just, yeah, I've known him for a while. So yeah, tell your friend it's true. I have known him for a very, very long time, man. Sean is my guy. And then I met Alex through that. And like I told Alex when I saw him, man, you know, most mature, like 20-something-year-old I'd ever met.
My friends disagree. It's going on record. They're saying that, like, Big Dave seems cool, but I'm not sure about that assessment.
Well, they see other side that I didn't see there, because what I saw, I'm like, yeah, man, this dude's got it together. I want to ask him about a 401k or something. This guy's got it going. He's got it lined up and together, man. So, but yeah, both of you guys are awesome, man, and I thank y'all for letting me be here, for real.
And I think this is the first time we've had you on the show since you got the Lockdown Bulls gig, if I remember correctly. And congrats on that, by the way. You're doing a great job with it. It's going to be a lot of fun, isn't it?
It's so much fun, dog. Like, I told Matt, because when Matt called me and asked me to do it, I said it's weird, because when Bulldog called me about Kevin Anderson, when he called me about Bulls Outsiders, I was in my house on my couch in my drawers. And when Matt called me, I was in my house on my recliner in my drawers. And I was like, there's something to this. I don't know what it is, but there's a connection with that. But
I have a follow-up question. Are you just on your couch in your drawers a lot, or is it just really coincidental?
It was really coincidental, honestly. It was for real. I'm not saying that there are moments, you know, that I'm just sitting around, you know, in my drawers. It just happens that way, because I, you know, got on some boxers or something, and I'm just sitting around in them. But it's not an everyday thing. You know what I mean? I usually got some shorts on and stuff. But for those two moments, I specifically, it was just sitting around in my drawers specifically. And I just always found that funny. And I was like, wow, there's something to that. So if somebody else calls me and offers me something and I'm in my drawers, then I don't know if I'll ever wear shorts again. I think that's the case.
Well, thank you for being on today. And, we want to talk about a lot of changes going on with the Chicago Bulls and trying to make sense of how this is going to work, how this is going to look, and what the league is going to say about it when they do their investigation. So let's start with some of the moves. The big one, I guess, is probably the sign and trade for Lonzo Ball. Fans have been clamoring for Lonzo Ball. They've been linked to Lonzo Ball since the trade deadline during last season. What finally made this deal happen, and how do you feel about this move?
I was very, very excited about the move. I've been wanting Lonzo Ball since he was a Laker. Just because I saw the fit that could be with this team. In my head, I was like, he just really does fit with this team. And I still feel the same way. Ever since, when he went to New Orleans last year, I felt the same exact way. I really, really like his game. He is a point guard. Like, that's what he is. He's 6'6", but he is a point guard. And he loves to run. He's great in transition. He's really excellent facilitator. He will find that open man, and he makes incredible passes. And I finally have a guy who will recognize that the Bulls have athletes on the team. Like, we'll actually see alley-oops. Like, I'm excited for just the lower-tiered athleticism that we're going to see. Like, I'm going to be like, ooh, a no-look pass. I'm going to be excited for that because I haven't seen that in a while here in Chicago, and he's definitely going to bring that. And not to mention, his three-point shooting and how it's improved vastly. And he's shooting about 38% from three. He's going to have a lot of wide open shots in this offense because guys are going to be double teaming Levine and DeRozan, who I'm sure we'll get into, and Vooch. And he's going to have some of those open spaces. So shooting 38% from three and getting open looks, that's also very, very good. And then on the other side of the ball, he's excellent because he is one of the best unball defending guards in the league. He is really good, and he's excellent at blocking shots. Like, he is just talented. Like, I think that's the way I can just put it about him. He is just supremely talented and just really good. And I'm happy he's here. Now, not saying he's perfect, obviously. He has a lot of things to work on. When he goes to the paint, he usually gets stripped. It usually gets taken from him when he tries to create and go inside. That's not his game. But that's why I think it kind of fits here, because he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to force the issue. He just has to make sure everybody knows where to be on the floor. And he takes the ball out of Zach LaVine's hands, because Zach is, always tried to be that facilitator because he had to be. And then, you see him step out of bounds on the baseline. You see him turn it over. You see him get stripped and all that stuff. All that is done with now, because now I can just hand it to Lonzo and say, hey, set everybody up, create the offense, run the play, and let's get this bucket. So, yeah, I think he's really going to be good for the Chicago Bulls, and I'm really excited he's here.
For me, I was really excited because he's a defender, and we've really lacked defenders on this team for a bit.
Very true. Yeah, lack is a nice word.
Yeah, let's be real.
Yeah, man, they've been trash on defense. It's been really to the point. It made Zach get better at defense. Like, it was that bad that he had no choice. He had to get better at defense.
Like, who would have thought Zach LaVine would be working on defense?
Yeah.
Wait, asterisk. Gold medal winner, Zach LaVine.
Oh, yes.
True.
Yes, true. Gold medal winner, Zach LaVine, who played great defense over there, too. That was his thing. He was up the floor all the time. He was in the end with his defense, which is really cool. So he's going to be, having Lonzo kind of take that off of Zach. So what you're going to see more of, and again, this is just my opinion, what you're going to see more of is Zach being able to cheat in the passing lanes, because Lonzo is such a solid defender one-on-one. He'll be able to, swarm the ball handler to where, if he's trying to make that pass, Zach can cheat now, in those passing lanes when that ball gets thrown out there to the opposing player. He can cheat on that, get that steal, and get some highlight dunks. So I think his steals will go up, actually, Zach's. I think his steals will go up a little bit because he'll be playing those lanes a little more, man. So, yeah, Lonzo's going to help a lot. He's going to help a lot.
The next biggest move is another sign and trade with the San Antonio Spurs to bring in DeMar DeRozan. Mm-hmm. And actually had to give up quite a bit in that trade. But bring in DeMar DeRozan. He's a little bit older, but how do you look at this trade?
Well, first of all, I don't think they gave up a lot, personally. I give that up. I mean, you gave up, a jersey, some ketchup, some rows of socks. You didn't really give up too much. Shout out, not disrespecting Thad Young, because I like Thad Young, but come on, Al-Farouq Aminu, like we didn't even know he was on the team. You know what I mean? A couple second-round picks, man. But Thad, yeah, I get you what you're saying, because Thad is, good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen him stay on this team.
Yeah, I get that. And he wasn't the first person to who was in the trade. The person they were trying to trade was Lowry, but they couldn't come to that agreement with his contract, so they had to trade Thad, which is what I like about AK and Eversley. Even though they couldn't get the trade that they wanted, they still executed it because they really wanted that player. So they gave up something they didn't want to give up. That wasn't on the table, but they're like, we got to make this deal. So they traded Thad. So they were definitely trying to keep him, but since the Lowry thing didn't work out, they had to trade Thad, unfortunately.
And good for them for sticking to like their guts. I mean, yes. it feels so easy to be like, oh, they're not going to take Lowry, forget it. No, they kept at it, like you said. I like that personally.
Yes. No, absolutely, Alex. Absolutely right. You got to love that, because we're not used to that here, right? Like, we don't see those kind of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not used to guys making those shrewd moves and making those big moves and saying, well, this didn't work, let's try this, instead of saying this didn't work, forget it. You know what I mean? Like,
they have a vision and they want to accomplish something. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and you're right. You're absolutely right. And you're watching it come to fruition right now. But yeah, DeMar DeRozan, man. I mean, you got an all-NBA player, multiple time All-Star, a guy who was averaging 20 and 7 last year, 7 assists. I mean, that's a career high for him. He was playing the 3 also last year. Veteran. I love the fact, this team definitely needed veterans. He's the right kind of veteran, because he can actually contribute still on your team, very much contribute on this team. And the other thing I really like, guys, is I've never liked DeMar DeRozan as the number one option. Never. I've never liked it. You saw it in Toronto. Every single time he would go up against LeBron or something like that, he would struggle. But now he doesn't even have to be a top 2 option. He could be the 3rd option on this team, because your top 2, you can go Zach and Vooch on that. You don't even have to have him running your 2nd option. So now pressure is off of him in that way. The mid-range game, you're going to need it. You saw that in the playoffs. You saw it with Chris Middleton and the Bucks. When you need a bucket, you need somebody who can go get one. The Bulls had no shot creators. You had Zach LaVine and sometimes Kobe White. But you had no other shot creator, person who create their own shot. You definitely have that now. And this guy shoots 50% from the field, and he's excellent. And what I really, really like is, because people are wondering about the fit, where he's going to fit in that starting lineup. I think you're going to see him do his thing with that second unit. So when that second unit starts to come in, I think you're going to see DeRozan out there when Zach and Vooch go to the bench, and then it's going to be his world when it's out there and going down that way. So yeah, man, I'm excited about this. You got real deal basketball players on your team. Like, there's no more. It's not hopeful anymore. Like, it's very tangible.
This was definitely a Mark Eversley, his brainchild, because it was all him that brought DeMar DeRozan because of their relationship.
Yeah, definitely. The story they told was they said the agent, DeMar's agent, was telling teams, if you want to talk to DeMar, come on out here to LA. We'll be here, and we'll talk to everybody. Other teams were trying to do Zoom calls. Other teams were trying to do it like that. He's like, that's not what I said. I said, I don't want, come on out here and talk to me. But so who did that? Mark Eversley got on the plane, flew out there, went and sat and talked to him. And, of course, they have a relationship because, of their days in Toronto. So he went out there, talked to him for, I think they said 2 hours, talked to he and his agent. And it went so well to the point where the Clippers were on their way there, and they called the Clippers and was like, yeah, you guys just might as well turn around. Like, we good. Like, we're going to Chicago. We're all right. When is the last time you've heard that in that form for the Chicago Bulls, where a player that teams were sought after, a player that was sought after, they really wanted.
It's like the exact opposite of the Carmelo Anthony.
Exact opposite of Carmelo. Exact opposite of Melo. It's the exact opposite of LeBron. Exact opposite of when Wade
Tracy McGrady.
Come here. Tracy McGrady, Tim Duncan, Grant Hill. I mean, the list goes on. When you end up with like Ron Mercer, when you end up, with Paul Gasol, Paul Gasol was nice. He was all NBA. He still was not who the focus was. Like you said, with Carlos Boozer, we were always the bridesmaid. So to be chosen and have the ring put on our finger is great. It's a great thing, man.
And this was something they wanted to establish day one. When AK came in, he said he wanted this to be a destination where people wanted to go. And, Dave, I'm sure you can completely agree with this, but I feel like, some people say, oh, well, they're trading away all these picks. They're building a good team, but not a great one. I feel like the sole purpose of this whole thing is just to create that winning, desirable culture, even if that means that they're not the number one dog yet. I mean, would you say that's accurate?
Wow, that's very accurate and very well put. You're absolutely right about that. And that's crazy because you put that so wonderfully. Like, it's what I was thinking, but you said it better than I was thinking. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Building a winning culture is what AK and Eversley continued to say they wanted to do. They said we're not playing around with nobody no more. We're not trying to be second fiddle. We're not trying to be in the draft. We're not trying to draft high. We're trying to actually be a team, a real basketball team, year after year. The way he talks and the way he speaks, it's just like, it's Pat Riley-esque. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like a guy who just wants to win all the time and will do whatever it takes to win all the time. We're not used to this. I'm not used to any of this. This is all new to me. And usually we see this being built in the draft. No, this was built in free agency. Like you said, players want to come here. To sign Lonzo Ball, another guy who was sought after, but to sign him in the first minute, let you know he wanted to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wanted to be here from the jump. He made his decision. I want to come to Chicago. I had two highly touted free agents in the same year both say, I want to come to Chicago. That means a lot. That means a lot for the team as far as, like you said, building a winning culture going forward, because it's gonna be like a trickle down theory here, a trickle down effect here. Like, you see that, you're like, maybe it is something there. Maybe something's going on. Maybe I need to look at Chicago, and see if I can, enjoy playing with them. Oh, wow, there's a statue. Oh, wow, there's the 6 rings. Hey, I had those Jordans on too when I was a kid. Hey, I love Scottie Pippen. Oh, man, Derrick Rose is there. Next thing you know, you're in a Bulls jersey and you don't know how it happened. So,
you say all that, and it reminds me of what I've thought for so many years. Just how this is such a big brand in sports. Whether they're good or bad, the Chicago Bulls are one of the biggest brands in sports because of Michael Jordan. And it was so telling when this wasn't a desired place to come. You have a big city, big market, huge fan base, massive brand. You're going to be in a spotlight in this city, no matter how good or bad the Bulls are, because of who they are to the city. But the fact that they weren't a desired destination for so many people, it really was telling how bad it was mismanaged. I mean, it takes a lot to turn like a big brand like the Bulls and for people to say, no, I don't want to go there.
Yeah, yes, you have to be really, really, really bad at talking to people and doing things to make people say, I don't want to play where the greatest player ever played. That takes a lot. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, they're internationally loved. It's not just here in America, it's international with them, because even AK, you saw the video when he used to play overseas, when he got to play against the Dream Team. And then there's so many pictures of him that have come out when he's got on, like, Chicago Bulls stuff, when he was, overseas at his house. This is a big deal, so it means something to him being here, and you can kind of see it because he wants to get the Bulls back where they are. And when Jordan left and the way they did him, you heard players around the league, and I remember Kevin Garnett saying things like this about how the Bulls were kind of blackballed because they didn't want to come here. It's because of why? Because of the way you did Michael Jordan. We don't want to come here because of the way you did the greatest person to ever lace him up. If you do him like that, what do you think about me? And that went on for years and years and years and years. And then Derrick Rose, thank goodness, changed some of those things. But then of course he got hurt, and then we went through the same thing as far as, not being able to get those free agents. This changes a lot of that, Alex, Sean. This changes a lot of that. Mm-hmm. Getting these two guys here, getting two guys that people wanted, like were their first choice, not their second or third, their first choice. And especially with DeRozan, because people didn't think Bulls had a chance to get DeRozan. They weren't even mentioned, you know what I'm saying, when it came up. And they showed up out of nowhere, and they did what AK and Mark Eversley said they were going to do in free agency. They were going to be aggressive, and they were aggressive, and they went and got it done.
You mentioned a name there, and Derrick Rose. Did you think there was a realistic chance that he would come back to Chicago?
I did. I thought I thought it was a shot. He had a shot to come back. But again, just like when they couldn't get Lowry for DeRozan and they sent Thad, the second they couldn't get him, like the next few minutes, they signed Alex Caruso, like right after that. But yeah, I thought Derrick Rose had a shot at coming here because he fit. And I was like, if it's a good fit, you still need a backup point guard, You still need somebody who can put the ball in the bucket. You still need, good players like that. And Derrick Rose was a finalist for Sixth Man of the Year. So, but Derrick Rose, definitely a creature of habit. Doesn't want to change around things too much. Definitely has that relationship with Tibbs. That's evident. Everywhere Tibbs has coached, Derrick Rose has played. Everywhere. So that says a lot right there. He's going to stay in New York. I have no problem with that. I'm cool with that he wants to be there. But yeah, I thought they had a shot though. I did. I thought they had a shot.
So they ended up signing Alex Caruso to a 4-year, $37 million contract, which will probably be their mid-level exception. How do you see this move fitting in, and how do you grade this one?
When I heard it, I said, what? I was very shocked. Because he wasn't on the radar at all. I didn't see that coming at all. But as soon as they got him, I said, the Bulls are going to love this dude. Bulls fans are going to love Alex Caruso. Bulls fans love the tough nose, grind it out kind of guy who dives on the floor for the loose ball, who plays that, who will, bleed, and still, stay out there and play. They love that kind of stuff.
You mean like your boy Kirk Heinrich?
Oh, like the greatest gritter of all time here in Chicago, the legend himself in Kirk Heinrich and Nocioni, and even Archie Diacono. Even he was beloved here in Chicago for those reasons. Taj Gibson, Joakim Noah, those kind of guys. Bulls fans, love those kind of players.
Tom Waddle turned that into a career after football.
That is facts. That is facts.
Any other city, that guy would have just been, he would have had to get a construction job or whatever. But no, Chicago, he is beloved for being slow, mediocre guy that shouldn't have been in the NFL.
Well, and to add on Alex Caruso, this is another thing that we fans kind of say in our fandom mind is you look at the resume of this guy, and just a year ago, he was an NBA champ, so he has experience winning. How much of that you account for as being relevant is, I guess, up to you, but it doesn't hurt to have, in my opinion, it doesn't hurt to bring in a guy who knows how to get it done, who's been on that court when they clinched a championship.
No, absolutely right. I made that point on Locked On Bulls. Having a guy who has won, and I mean recently has won, is helpful to a team that doesn't know how to win yet. That's very helpful to a team. That's another reason why it's good DeMar DeRozan is here. A man who is used to making deep playoff runs. That's what he's used to doing. It's helpful when you have Caruso here. You got guys who are used to going to the postseason and having success. that does nothing but help people like Zach LaVine and Vooch and Kobe White, you know, who don't really know that yet, don't know that world yet, and haven't had that experience yet. So it's very important that that's there. And Caruso, like you said, providing that along with his athleticism, because he is athletic, and along with his defense. Again, he's one of the best on ball defending guards. He really is. With his size of 6'5", you know, just tough nose and, you know, tenacious on D, and with that experience. I mean, if I'm him, I'm bringing that ring to the locker room and letting guys touch that and hold that, you know, and see that, you know, like, hey, this is what I did, and let me show you what I did to get it. So that's important, you know, to show to those younger players who don't know what that is and don't know that world. It's good you can have somebody who is familiar with that world on your team.
And then they added some front court help with signing Tony Bradley to a 2-year deal.
Yes, they did. Oh, Tony Bradley. I didn't even remember Tony Bradley until I remembered him, if that makes any sense. When I first heard it, I was like, who is this dude? What's Tony Bradley? I don't know. And then I remembered when I saw the highlight of when he just was beasting Wendell Carter Jr. When he played for the Bulls. And I think he had like 14 and 6 or something like that, and like 3 blocks. And I mean, he was just beasting, eating them alive, because Embiid, he was with Philly that game because Embiid didn't play. And then if you remember, after that game, Embiid said, "I've seen enough. Built the team around Tony Bradley." That's what he tweeted out.
I remember that game because I was like, my God, we've got a guy who's getting beat by a nobody, like a redheaded stepchild.
Yes, I mean, he was working him inside, but he provides exactly, again, he provides the need. People say you needed help, you needed a backup center, which is true. You needed some rim protection, which is true. He provides both of that. He's the size of him. I believe his wingspan is 7'5". He can definitely block shots. Last year, I believe he was averaging like 18 minutes a game, which is a lot for a big man who plays defense. As you know, usually they don't stay in the game. Usually they're in foul trouble very early. But to play, you know, almost 20 minutes a game off the bench and not be in foul trouble and still shooting a high percentage, he's in like the high 60s as far as his percentage is concerned. And to get rebounds, you know, and he's young, you know, and can run the floor. So all that's important just for a backup center. You know what I mean? He does those little small things that you're going to need on this team. So, yeah, he's a good backup NBA center. And, yeah, they went and got one. That's good.
There's another name I'm hearing floating around, and I don't know if it's realistic or if it'll happen. LaMarcus Aldridge.
LaMarcus Aldridge. Personally, I don't think I'd want LaMarcus Aldridge. And that sounds crazy for me to say now that I'm saying it out loud. But I guess it's because, you know, I know his age now. And for me, I love goons. I've said this to Sean before. I love goons. I love having goons on the team. And I think that's what the Bulls are lacking right now. And they need a veteran who's a goon. And he's not a goon. He's finesse, you know, very, you know, great basketball player. You know what I mean? Offensively talented. A dude who I'm still mad the Bulls traded on that draft night, but I won't get into that. But I think I wanted a little more, you know, nose to the grindstone kind of guy. As far as that's going to be on this team that has his size. Because I'm not looking for the points. I was more looking for somebody with 4 points, 2 rebounds, and 6 fouls. You know, I just need some toughness on this team. But he's super skilled. I mean,
so what you're looking for is Bill Laimbeer?
Not a jerk. not on the level of Laimbeer jerkdom, but kind of on the cusp of it. Like I was thinking like a Paul Millsap or something like that, because Millsap is not that player anymore, but he's definitely tough. He's always been tough his whole career, and I think he would fit that kind of role that I want him to. But yeah, LaMarcus, he can score, but I'm also I wonder what teams will be scared away because, you know, of his ailment that he had. Because when I saw that, you know, the first person I thought of was Eddie Curry. When I saw that happen to him. And, you know, when that happened to Eddie, you know, that was pretty much devastated his entire career, even though he still got paid by the New York Knicks after that came out. But he was never really the same kind of player. And LaMarcus has age, you know what I'm saying? He's fighting against also. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he fit. If they get him, I'm not going to be mad or anything like that. But if I had a choice, I would take Paul Millsap just for the goondom.
Goondom.
Yes.
It kind of sounds, when we're talking about goons, it just makes me think of like 1970s style hockey where you always had the goon on the fourth line. He'd go out there and he'd smash someone into the boards, or they'd be at the puck and he'd just knock them flat out. And, you don't really see much of that in hockey anymore, but I do feel like there is something to be said in any sport about having like an agitator, just regardless of how skilled they are. Like, someone needs to get under their skin. Like, just a few years ago, the Cubs had John Lackey, and he was just a fiery paw that went out there. And then, the White Sox, when they won in 2005, I mean, AJ Pierzynski was a very good player, but let's face it, he could get under your skin. And I just feel like there's value in that. As long as you're not physically hurting anybody or, you're doing anything that can, cause anybody harm. If you're just there to agitate people, I feel like there's something to be said about the kind of fire that could bring to a team.
Well, I mean, look at the Washington Capitals last year with Tom Wilson. Is they completely changed what the New York Rangers did in their offseason because they were like, well, Tom Wilson, hurt one of our players and then beat up everybody that tried to stop him. Like we're going to change. This one guy changed a team's franchises off season, like what they were doing because he was a goon, so I love having a goon. I grew up in the 80s. Goondom is important.
It's very, we grew up with Bob Probert, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
The king of the hockey goons was Bob Probert. And he had a long career being that kind of player and a very, very successful one.
And he played on both sides of the rivalry, the Hawks and the Red Wings. That was a little before my time, but I've watched those highlights, man. And it's funny. You see one video, he's in a Red Wings jersey beating up a Blackhawk. The next one, he's in a Blackhawks jersey beating up a Red Wing.
Dude, the Red Wings, man. The Red Wings were the Lakers back then, dog. They was beasted, dog. The Red Wings was man, they were so good. They were the
really model franchise in sports.
They really were, man.
Yeah, if you look at the way they were run,
Scotty Bowman.
Yeah, the guy was a genius, and they were never ever like out of conversation of a Stanley Cup every single year. I mean, when I was a young kid, they were still in that because my earliest hockey memories were, mid 2000s when I was elementary, middle school, and they were still going on cup runs back then, or if not, they were going deep. And there wasn't a single year where they said, yeah, the Red Wings probably don't have a shot. Every single year, the Red Wings were top 5 in Stanley Cup odds every single year.
Every single year, man. Like you wanted to, if I wasn't a Blackhawks fan, like you would like them. Like it was really that simple to me. Like, but I couldn't. I couldn't. I wanted to like Steve Yzerman. Like I really did, but I couldn't. I wanted to like Coffee. I did, but I couldn't, man. But they were so good. God, they were so good.
Yeah. I mean, you can look at other sports teams that era. It's like, yeah, you got the Yankees and you mentioned the Lakers before, but if you look at a sport, that has a tight cap like hockey, and you look at a sport where there are so many just different star players at different positions in hockey. You have star defensemen, you have star forwards, you have star goaltenders. And in the 90s and 2000s, you had countless great players. You had from Yager to Mark Messier to the great one. For the Red Wings to stay as consistently good as they were, I mean, that takes really good brain power. It really was incredible. Yeah,
man. They had Lindstrom and Sergei Fedorov, and man, they just had a squad, dog. Like every time, too. Like every single time they gave it to you however you wanted it, however you wanted to play. They had it. You wanted to go fast, you wanted to run, they got you. You wanted to fight, yo, Bob, get out here. Let's do this. Like they got it. Any way you wanted, they had it for you, man. And that's why they were always in that conversation every year. I don't know how that turned into hockey, but that's cool.
We talked about goons.
I'm saying that's really cool. I like that. I love that. I think that's really cool. I really do. That's awesome, man.
So the Alonzo Ball sign and trade involved 2 different players having to have deals negotiated in Garrett Temple and Lonzo Ball. And then the compensation for the sign and trade had to be negotiated. And this got announced about 3 seconds after the free agency period opened. the NBA is investigating this. What do you think the outcome here is going to be?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm assuming if I have to go worst case scenario, the Bulls are going to lose a pick. I don't
what
think
picks do we have to lose?
I know, right? They're like, what second round? I think that's why he's trying to get this Lowry deal done, because we want to get some picks back so they can give them to the NBA. You know what I'm saying?
That's actually, I didn't think about that.
That's why I'm thinking they're trying to get this deal done so they can get assets and say, okay, cool, you can take these. like go ahead.
They'll be like, we're sorry, we'll forfeit Laurie.
Right.
Oh no, we have to forfeit Laurie.
No.
The agony.
Oh, guys. Oh, anything. Take my right arm, not the Laurie. Oh no. So I think that's why they're trying to make these moves, man. So to deal with that, because as excited as I was that they made it in the first minute, the NBA's like, yeah, but you made it in the first minute. Like, you can't be that excited. And I don't think they were tampering or did anything. I think the deal already had a skeleton made, because remember, they were trying to trade for him during the season that just passed. So at that trade deadline, they were already trying to make this deal. So
everyone knew they were in on him. Like,
it wasn't a secret, right? It wasn't a secret at all. They made it known they were trying to trade him, and if they didn't have to give up 2 first-round picks to get Vooch, then it would have happened. But it didn't happen that way. But that skeleton and that desire to want him was still there, and obviously they made the trade happen, and it was mutual on both sides. So I don't think it was any tampering. As long as they weren't talking to agents during this, they'll be fine. And I think
I'm pretty sure that they were, but I think the front office of the Bulls is smart enough to not do it through ways that they could track them, like on their cell phone or through their personal or their work email, where the league has authority to go in there and check. I'm sure they've got these back channels and met up with people in person where there's no trace.
AK's chat name is like Sploogeball 69.
Yo. Oh, that's awesome. Like he's Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible or something, man. Like that's crazy, guys. But like if they did it, cool. If I gotta give up a pick, fine. Get it, fine. Take the pick. I don't care. But long as we gotta get Lonzo signed, then it will be worth it for me. However they want to do this.
So how do you see the starting lineup looking, and how do you see the primary second unit looking for this coming year?
Oh man, well, for the starting lineup, I mean, I think that's pretty set. I mean, Lonzo, Zach, DeMar, Patrick Williams, and Vooch. Like I said, your 3 main options are going to be, Zach, Vooch, and DeMar. If you want to switch DeMar with Vooch, or however you want to do it, whatever. But that's going to be your 3 options. With I think Lonzo will be your 4th, and Pat might be the 5th, depending on how good Pat looks. Because Pat might become your 4th option. He is definitely the wild card in this scenario, which is why watching him in summer league is going to be very important to see where he is. How far he's progressed in his game. The bench, that's still different because they still have things they have to fill out on the bench. I believe they have 6 spots left on the bench, if I'm not mistaken. So they still got to fill that out. But you got Caruso, like I said, you got Bradley, waiting on Kobe White to heal up, from that freak injury he had, which was tough. That's going to set him back for sure. So, but when he gets healthy, he'll definitely be a big piece for the Bulls off that bench. So once that gets short. Oh, and I forget, Troy Brown Jr., of course, and Javonte Green. They just signed Javonte to a 2-year deal, who I liked a lot. That's another energy guy who will operate in some goondom. Honestly, like it's because he's that energy guy, who will agitate. That's really what he was doing, and I like that about him. And he plays defense, so I like that. So you got that, but it's gonna be those big men, because off of that bench right now, you got Bradley and you got Marko Simonovic. And Simonovic is definitely a wild card. And he's definitely something I'm talking about I'm gonna have eagle eye vision on this dude in the summer league, man. I am watching every single thing that he does because I need to know everything he can or cannot do. So he's going to be interesting to get a look at, man, because watching him, overseas, it's hard, little hard to judge, but I would see him consistently get like 18 and 10. And the 10 is what was more exciting to me because, that means he's not afraid to go inside and, try to body up with people. Now, he's definitely going to have to put on some weight, but that's another, that comes with time. So that's going to be interesting. He's definitely going to be interesting because if he's solid, he can shore up a lot of things at the 4 and the 5. So, yeah, I'm going to be watching that. So the bench is still kind of up in the air, but that starting 5 is solid and it is set and it is good, guys. The starting 5 is good.
Well, Dave, I have to ask you about this, to go in a little depth about this. I don't know if you know, but I'm an Illini fan. My family has gone to U of I. My brother, my mom went to U of I. So did my godfather. So it runs in our family, the fandom. And when they drafted Ayo Dosunmu, I was on cloud 9 because I loved watching him at U of I. This guy for Illinois, he was a warrior. He went out and he just ice water, the clutch shots that he made. One of my all-time favorite basketball moments was last year when he hit a buzzer beater to beat Michigan in Michigan for the win. It was an unbelievable moment for Illinois, and seeing him get drafted by my favorite NBA team was awesome. So what do you think about Ayo being a Bull? What are your expectations of what he could possibly bring, just not only as a teammate, but as an NBA player?
Well, I don't know if you knew this, Alex, but my sister graduated from U of I.
Oh, nice.
And it's my favorite basketball team in college is U of I. It's always been my favorite team. Always.
Oh, good to meet another fellow Illini fan.
Yes, man. ILL. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It has always been my team. Always. It's always been my favorite team. And I've watched them since I was a child, and I gravitated towards them very much. So my sister going to college there was just really cool. When they drafted him, I wasn't even in town, which was funny. I wasn't even in town. I was on vacation. So when it happened, I remember I said, let me look at my phone. Cause when I go on vacation, I'm off the grid, but I'm like, the draft. Let me look at my phone. And when I got to the 30th pick, I was like, okay, the Bulls picking 38th. And then my first instinct was, well, who took Ayo? Cause I just knew he was going, I just knew. I was like, wait, he's still here? Oh, that's weird. And then in an instant, I said, oh, man, wouldn't it be crazy if he fell to the Bulls? And I said, nah, dude, this Bulls at 38. They're at 30. Of course somebody else is going to grab him. That's crazy. And then I went on about my business. And then when I saw they drafted him, the people I was with are not basketball people. And so I'm over there going crazy when I saw he got drafted. And they can't understand why I'm acting this way. And they're like, Dave, it's a restaurant. Relax. And I'm like, hey, man, no, man.
I know those nachos are good, but relax.
Right. Like, dude, Ayo, do you get this? Like, this is really cool. This dude's a hometown guy, man. This is Morgan Park. Like, this is coming home. This is beautiful. This is a great story. And it's not just a great story. He's really good at basketball. On the offensive end, you don't want no parts of him in transition. Like, the dude is a monster in transition. He's excellent at that. I love the fact that he worked on his game from year one to where he is now, because where he was freshman year was nowhere where he is right now as far as his game is concerned. People being concerned about, him playing the point guard position. He literally won an award for saying I was the best point guard in college.
Yep.
He won the award. He has it. So that says something to me there. They were worried about the assists because he averaged career for his college career. His highest was last year. What do you have? 5, I think. About 5 assists. And they were like, well, it's because, he had a dominant big man in Kofi. If only he can go to a team with the actual center that can score 20 and 10. Oh, yeah, he's on that team. All right, we got Vooch. That kills some of that noise right there, too. I like the move, man. And he's a gym rat, and he's a quality kid, and I love his IQ. That dude knows his stuff, man. His IQ is awesome, and his defense is awesome. He guarded the pick and roll better than anybody I saw in college. That is the toughest thing to guard, which is why it's still working to this day and will work forever. But the way he guarded the pick and roll, the way he could slip under the screen, and the way he can go over and still be with this man is excellent. And he had the length and the size enough that if it was a big man setting the pick, he could go with him too. Like, I really like him defensively, man. Like, you really see his IQ come into play when he's on the defensive side of the ball. On the offense, of course, he has some flaws and things he has to work on. I mean, but guys, he's first round talent that you got in the second round. So I think it's a good move. I think it's a good pick. I love the fact that he's another big guy because the Bulls are showing you that they're going for size. You know, that's another thing they're going for. So they got another guy who's about 6'5", who has a great IQ, who has a great attitude and really wants to play and really wants to get better. I think it's a great pick, honestly. I don't think it's just a hometown pick. You know, they didn't just pick him because he was from Illinois or, you know, from the city. He just happens to be from here. They picked him because this dude was one of the best guards in college, and you got him in the second round. That's why you choose that kind of guy. So
yeah, and I mean, like just sitting and watching him play at Illinois, there were times where you couldn't exactly point to one thing, but if you just sat and watched him, you're just like, this dude is a warrior. This dude like knows what he's doing. He was a special player for Illinois, and I'll just never forget watching him thinking, if he goes to the NBA, which obviously we knew he was going to, I said, no matter where he is, no matter what team, I'm going to root for him. And the fact that he's here makes it 10 billion times better. I mean, that when that pick went down, that was the same night the Cubs traded Anthony Rizzo, and I was kind of an emotional wreck. So I needed that boost, you know, I needed that. So when I got that news, that really helped lifted my spirits. It wasn't quite like you being on vacation in a restaurant with people who don't know basketball. I was just kind of sitting alone, sulking in my tears. But, you know, I think I talked to so many other Bulls fans, and they all feel the same way. I don't see a single like negative reaction by this. Sure, there could be some skeptics, but I mean, I think it could pay off well. I think there's a high reward with this pick.
No, you're absolutely right. Like I said, it's first round talent, and reading guys like David Aldridge, who said he was talking to some people within organizations, you know, he's talking to scouts, and one of them told him, he said, you know, I don't even understand why he even dropped down the board. He's talking about Io. He said one of the guys told him, like, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get why he dropped. He was like, this guy might be the steal of the draft. And you kept hearing that when I would see him be drafted. You kept hearing that from people within the league, you know, and around the league who, you know, writers, reporters, and things like that. They kept referring to him, you know, in that sense, like he could really be the steal of this draft. That's good stuff to hear from a second round guy. And as I keep saying, like, AK is great in the second round. He's great drafting late. I mean, he drafted the MVP of the league in the second round. That says enough for me right there. I don't even have to go no further than that. But, you know, his first round picks are late. Jamal Murray was a late first round pick. Michael Porter Jr., a late first round pick. Like, he said that he likes to draft late. Like, he doesn't like drafting early, even though he did get Patrick Williams, which was awesome. But yeah, he's great at drafting late, and he's great at recognizing talent. And he doesn't strike me as somebody who's going to make a move strictly on emotion. You have to be good.
Yes.
You have to be talented. You have to have some skill to want to play. He did say he really enjoyed talking with him when he interviewed with the Bulls. And he said when they did that, he was like, we didn't think he'd be there. So they didn't think about it again. He was like, we liked him a lot. It was like, yeah, he's great and all that stuff. But, you know, obviously he's going to be gone. So we didn't even discuss it anymore. So they were ecstatic and they were thrilled that he was available to come to the Bulls, man. And you saw how happy he was, and you see how happy he is to be in his hometown, playing for his hometown team, man. That is an awesome, awesome feeling. Like, because there are some players who don't want to be for their hometown. For whatever reason, they're like, you know, they don't want that. He wanted that. He wants to be here, and that says a lot, man. So, yeah, you're right, Alex. I think he's going to be good, especially on the defensive end. I think he's going to be really good, man.
So what the hell happens to Laurie now?
Oh, he's gone. Laurie's out. Yeah, he's gone. It's
that man way overvalued himself.
You know, as DJ Khaled said, he played himself. He did.
I mean, that is the definition of a mediocre white man overvaluing himself.
Yeah, you know, his agent was like, "Oh man, you gonna get that money? You gonna get that 20 mil? You know it's gonna happen." And then when he and Dennis Schroeder, who's not a mediocre white man, they both overvalued themselves on this one, man. And yeah, it's going to be tough, man. But Lowry really thought he was going to get that big payday. And maybe at another time this would have happened, because we've seen that before, right? We've seen guys be overpaid. I mean, Chandler Parsons is the first person that comes to my mind. We've seen it happen before, but it's not happening this year, man. And his play and the way he played didn't help that at all. It didn't adhere him to a team saying, you know what, we could take a risk on you, giving you this kind of money. That didn't help at all. I mean, he got benched for a bench player. And it was the right call. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were like, Daniel Tice, it was the right move to do. And yeah, so he struggled. And it hurts me to talk, because y'all know I love Lowry, man. I rode hard for Lowry. I really thought Lowry was going to be something nice. And it just did not work out. And it ran its course. And he wants to leave. I'm sure the Bulls want him to leave. It's just about the assets that they can get back for him. And he's not going to get his 20 mil, but hopefully he gets a nice piece of change to where, you know, he's at least satisfied.
But I'm reading, who's got the cap space to give him anywhere near what he wants?
I don't know. That's the question. I don't know. The only teams I've heard come up that have a real interest in him are the Mavericks and the Hornets. Those are the two teams that I've heard come up that have an interest. Now, I just read today that, again, the New Orleans Pelicans have interest in getting Lowry Markkanen. And here's something about that, guys, that I didn't think about. But when I read that today, I said there might be something to this. You know who's in New Orleans, right? You know who's there. Gar Forman. Gar Forman is a scout for the New Orleans Pelicans. So I'm like, okay, you make that trade and you went and got Satoransky, a guy that, you know, Gar got in free agency. That was one of his big moves. He's like, I'm going to go get Tomas Satoransky. If he ends up with Lowry Markkanen, in my head, that's going to tell me that he's got some say within that organization. Because when you're getting two players from the Bulls, you know, and I believe they have Garrett Temple too, if I'm not mistaken. They came with that. So 3 Bulls on your team and guards there. I don't know, man. It might be something to that. Man. But yeah, they have money though. They have room. I think they have like a $12 million exception that they can use. So they have it. It makes sense in New Orleans money wise. It does. But I think the Bulls, like I said, might be looking for assets too. So if they can get a pick that they can give to the league, if they get, you know, on these tampering charges, then they'll take that as well. But bottom line is Lowry's going to be gone. I don't expect him to be here at all.
And so what's your way too early prediction of where the Bulls finish next year?
Oh, yeah, it's way too early is correct. If everything goes right, and I'm talking everything goes right, you know, as far as health, as far as somebody else not being as healthy, a team falling off, like if everything just goes right, the ceiling for me is for the Bulls is a 4 seed. That's a ceiling for me, which is fun to say because last year I remember the play-in game was the ceiling. You know what I'm saying? The play-in game was what we were after, and now it's the floor. You know, the play-in game is the bottom. It is the floor. We're not even, you know, concerning ourselves with it like that. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, if everything goes right, I have them going at a 4 seed, you know, but I'm my heart is telling me 6. But yeah, just the fact that I think the Bulls are a playoff team and an actual playoff team, like it just makes me feel good that there's a incredibly great possibility that we'll be seeing playoff basketball at the UC again, because it is sorely missed.
Well, Dave, to kind of piggyback off what Sean just asked, you know, I was looking at the Eastern Conference, and we could obviously establish the fact that Milwaukee is going to be better, right, and that the Brooklyn's going to be better. Yes. I would assume the 76ers, despite the Ben Simmons, I mean, whatever happens there, you could still probably assume they're going to be a better team, right?
Yeah. Yeah, of course you can. And the Atlanta Hawks.
And the Atlanta Hawks, well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're going to be awesome too. Like they're young and they're hungry and they got a taste of winning. So yeah, they're going to be after that. So, which is why, you know, I said that's why I'm saying everything has to go right for them to be at 4. That's why I see them at a 5 or a 6, because of those teams and how good I think they're going to be. Philly might be the one team that falls a little bit
I could see
out of all those teams, but yeah, they'll be on the level with, the New York Knicks and teams like that. Like, I think that's a good place to be from where we were. You know what I mean? Like, from where we were, I think that is a excellent place to be for the Chicago Bulls to even be legitimately mentioned in that kind of tier, and it's legitimate. So yeah, I see that. I definitely see that.
And you think they're going to be battling kind of neck to neck with teams like Indiana? Because I feel like Indiana is a team we kind of underrate every year, and they end up being very competitive. So I just look at the division as a whole. It's quite intriguing. You got the NBA champs, you got the Bulls, you have Indiana, who's consistently competitive. Detroit just had the number 1 overall pick, and I feel like it's a very intriguing division. And there could be a lot of good storylines this year in divisional play on its own with the Bulls.
Yeah, that's a great point. Even Cleveland, with Darius Garland, who I really like, getting a little bit better and becoming a little bit stronger. They're going to be solid there too. And even within the conference, I keep forgetting about the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be good, because they read up too, and they're going to be good again, which is why I had in my head, I'm like, Bulls will be a 6 seed because of those kind of teams. So I think for a first time in a long time, the first 6-7 teams in the East, I think, are good teams. It's not top heavy.
Going to be trash.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be trash, and that it's been a while since you've been able to say that. Like, you could just really look at those teams, like all the teams you named, Alex. Like, you can look at them outside of teams like Detroit and Cleveland and people like that, and even Washington, who I don't think is going to be super great, but they'll be competitive. But yeah, you could just these teams should be solid. These are solid teams, and again, you got the champion coming from your conference, and that's going to mean something. Because those guys, I'm sure the Bucks aren't going to be, sitting back, taking the backseat to anybody. I don't care what people think as far as what believe the Nets should win. They don't believe it because they're like, we beat y'all, so we don't believe it. So it's going to be competitive in that sense. But yeah, the Bulls, the Knicks, and the Pacers, that kind of tier is a good place to be for this Bulls team. So yeah, when they finish filling out that roster, man, and just give me a goon and I'll be ready to go. That's all I need. Just give me that one goon and I promise you I will be ready to go. And I can't wait. I'm very, very excited about this team.
Bob Probert is on the phone with AK right now.
I hope he can understand him. I hope he got his teeth in so he can understand what he's saying.
The ghost of Bob Probert.
The ghost of Bob Probert. Right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yes,
I forgot about that.
Yes.
So, Dave, do you have a couple minutes you want to talk White Sox too?
Sure.
All right. So I know you're a White Sox guy, and
I am.
And your team is looking pretty legit. They're beating the hell out of the shell of the Cubs.
They are.
So your big trade deadline piece is coming this week in the form of Luis Robert coming back this week. How do you expect him to look, and who do you think is going to take? Who's going to lose a roster spot for him to come back?
Ooh, yeah, that's the good question, man. I've been thinking about that, and I honestly didn't have a good answer because first person I can think of is Billy Hamilton. But I'm like, well, when the playoffs come, Tony La Russa loves speed. He loves those guys, have him on his team. He's always had a guy like that everywhere he's managed. But he's the only one. I'm like, you're not going to sit down Eloy. You can't sit down Engel. You can't send down Brian Goodwin. He's awesome. He's been great, since he's got here. I don't know what outfielder they can look at and just say, okay, you're sitting down. Maybe you guys might know some names. I don't. But those guys I look at, it's just going to be tough, man, to do. But it's a good problem to have because we haven't had that problem in quite a long time where we're like, we got too much talent on our team. You know what I mean? We got to find a place to put these guys. We have too much talent. That's a great feeling, man, for this, man, because it's been a while for the White Sox, and it's good to see it kind of come to fruition because the way they built their team was kind of how you saw the Cubs do theirs when they won their title in 2016. It was the same kind of building, just being trash but just putting those pieces, doing well in the draft, adding key free agents, and then when they were ready, they added the correct manager. That's really they set the blueprint. You know what I'm saying, on how to do it, and it feels like the White Sox just kind of followed that blueprint, and it's worked out nicely for my team. So, but yeah, to answer your question, man, like I said, Billy Hamilton is the first name I could think of a guy who wouldn't be here. If Engel goes down, I don't think he will, but
I doubt it.
I mean, yeah, I doubt it too. But those are the two names that I can give you. But Hamilton makes the most sense, I think.
Adam Engel is a really good defending outfielder. I don't know. I mean, Gavin Sheets is like the only one that still has options. You could send him down
Gavin
and then
shuffle
through your outfield. I mean,
I feel like Sheets would be the most logical.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, sending him, he makes the most sense. You're right.
I mean, Vaughn has actually played a pretty solid outfield for you when you needed him to.
Mm-hmm. And that bat, and his bat is nice.
The bat's been good. I mean, honestly, you kind of want to put Eloy as the designated hitter because he's such a bad outfielder.
He is not good.
but as we see today, he can swing that lumber, man.
Yes, he can, man, and that's why you have to have him out there. Yeah,
game's not over, and he had 2 home runs and a double, and just
he loves playing against the Cubs. He really does.
Goodwin has earned all the playing time that he's gotten, and Tony La Russa has, I think, somewhere in his house a poster of Billy Hamilton hanging up. He loves him some Billy Hamilton.
He does, man. He loves those kind of guys. Like, he loves those contact hitters who can run fast. Like, and look at what Billy Hamilton has done. You know what I'm saying? He's been here. Like, the most homers in probably his career he's hit here. And he's just like, it's just worked out so well for him. And he looks so comfortable here with this team, man. And that's the thing I like about them. They all kind of just like each other. And Brian Goodwin, I heard him on The Score talking about this. And they asked him, had he been on a team kind of similar to this? And he was like, the only time I really was on a team like this was like in high school. He was like, and this is what this kind of reminds me of. It's like being in high school, like everybody's just laughing and, jokes, and the chemistry is just, off the charts, and they just like being around each other. And more than any other sport, that matters in baseball.
Yeah.
It really does. More than any other sport, that matters in baseball. That chemistry in the clubhouse matters, because we've seen teams that are good, but found out players who didn't like each other. And then it kind of, took itself to the field, and it just didn't work out. You could just feel the bad energy. You know what I'm saying? So that good energy matters in baseball. It really, really does. So the fact that the White Sox have that, and that's key. It's important. But yeah, Gavin Sheets, I mean, I liked what he did here, but you're right. Like, if it's anybody that can go down, like, it's Gavin. Gavin can be the one to go.
Someone's got to go,
Yeah, someone's got to go, man. That's Luis Robert, man. Somebody's got to go, brother. Somebody's got to go.
And going to be a couple of somebodies because Yasmani Grandal starting to run.
Yasmani. I forgot about Yasmani, man. He was just starting to hit.
The White Sox are starting to get healthy at the right time.
Yeah, man. They're looking nice, and I'm just excited, man. It's fun to be in this position. Now, what we do have to, and of course the bullpen, but what we do have to get together is actually beating good teams. They have struggled against teams who are over 500, man, but they're beating up who they're supposed to beat up. And I honestly, guys, if they don't make a deep run in the playoffs, I don't look at it as a failure. Because I look at it differently, especially in baseball. I look at stuff like the Atlanta Braves in the 90s, who were always in contention. And I look at, guys like the Dodgers who are around now, who are always in contention, always making that run. Because baseball is different, just because you didn't get there didn't mean you didn't have success. It's not like basketball, in that sense. But if you're winning your division every year, and you're giving your team a chance every year, that's what I'm kind of after with this team, because we've seen them get that win, just like with the Cubs. We've seen them get that win. Well, more so with the White Sox, more so than the Cubs. But we've seen them get that win and then just kind of fizzle out. Like everything happened and then it was done. I don't want that. That's not what I want. I want to maintain. I want to be steady. I want to maintain year after year. I want to be in contention, and I want to have a chance year after year. We're always winning our division, or we're in a battle for it, and then we go to the playoffs and we'll see what happens. That's what I want. That will be a successful thing to me, because I've dealt with the losing for a long time, and the winning was great, but I want to stay there. I want some steadiness.
Well, baseball's crazy is because you build these teams to do well in the regular season, which is a really long regular season. And then you have the playoff format where it's just like, everything's out the window, and all of these things you built for a marathon, now it's a sprint. And you're right, Atlanta Braves, they built that team as best they could. And honestly, once you look at the playoffs, there's a couple teams that make the playoffs, and you're like, okay, they very, very low likelihood that they could win it. Right. But those handful of teams that you're like, these are the legit teams, it's a crapshoot. It's a lot of luck, and you have an unlikely hero always come through, and it's a lot of just absolute luck going into it. And the more bites you have at the apple of winning your division, then the more bites you have, the chances you get of winning the World Series, which is, the ultimate goal there.
No, you're absolutely right. And again, more than any other sport, luck plays a part in baseball more than any other sport.
God, yeah. I mean, based on flukiness and luck. I mean,
yes, man.
That's why we have stats that measure it. We measure fielding independent pitching. We measure BABIP. That's why we're looking at launch angle, and we use launch angle and barrel percentage and anything else from StatCast, exit velocity. And that's why we have, expected batting average. You could say that ball had an expected batting average of 900, but it was caught just because the fielder just happened to be positioned there.
Yeah, because baseball is that sport. You can't just look at the face stats. You know what I'm saying? Like you can do in other sports. You can look at basketball, look at your points, rebounds, steals, blocks. You can look at the face stats. You can do it in football too. You can look at face stats. But in baseball, you got to go beyond. You know what I mean? Like, what was this guy hitting, on the 1-2? You know what I mean? Like, you got to go beyond certain things. Like, who's a better fielder than he is a hitter? You know what I mean? What's his fielding percentage? Well, I'll start him. I know he's batting 220, but he's fielding about 98% out there. Like, he's got to get out there. He's got to play. And how to do it against a team. It's all chess, and that's why it's my favorite spectator sport, because it's like watching live chess. And I love to just sit there and watch those guys make those moves. But yeah, I would love, I just want my team to be that team year after year. The league has to worry about, year after year, you got to concern yourself with us. Year after year, you have to worry about, and the White Sox, the White Sox are still there. I want to be in that conversation. Well, what about the White Sox? They're still going to be there. They'll win the division.
I mean, they're positioning themselves for that. I mean, look at most of the rotation is going to be back next year.
Ooh, that rotation.
Giolito's still arbitration eligible for 2 more years. Dallas Keuchel's definitely with you next year, and you got an option for the year after. Lance Lynn just signed a 3-year extension, and Dylan Cease he's got team control through 2025. So you've got only Carlos Rodon is the only one that's going to be a free agent.
And even that's not a big deal, because I shouldn't say not a big deal, because Rodon is having an incredible year, and he's a great pitcher. But I'm saying in sense of they're like, well, next, Kopech is coming right back, to that lineup. Like, exactly what's going to happen. Kopech is going to feel right in there, man, because they brought him in as a starter, but obviously, of course he got hurt and things like that. So I don't think that's going to change. So yeah, they're going to be awesome.
Kopech's probably going to be a starter next year, and then they just there you go. And
I always call him Kopech. I call him Kopech all the time.
And so your rotation's going to be stupid good, and they're not going to try to sign Carlos Rodon because that's too much money for Jerry. Yeah. He's going to have a grabber thinking about spending that money. Jerry, you're 900 years old. You cannot be buried with it.
Says who?
I am spending this man's money. I don't care. I'm here for it. Just spend that man's money.
If it's any team who he spends for, it's the White Sox. Like, that is the team that he doesn't mind, spending his money for.
But he still doesn't like spending for the White Sox. He's a penny.
He doesn't. No, he's a penny pincher. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm telling you, it's more so for the White Sox he'll spend than he will the Bulls. He'll spend that money. Do you remember when he won the World Series? I'll never forget when he said, "This one ring means more than those 6 championship rings." He said that. Like he won 6 in a row. Did. Like he won 2 3-peats.
With the greatest competitor of all time.
Greatest ever. Alex, ever. He was like, nope. Turn on the journey. You know what I'm saying? This is what I like. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm rocking with, man, right here. Like, this is what I want. That one ring meant more to him than anything else he had won. So, yeah, that's how I know he don't mind spending for this team. But you're right. He's a penny pincher, though, for sure.
So, this is an early look here. But when we get to the postseason, because there's almost no chance the White Sox don't make the postseason. This would have to be an epic proportion disaster for that to happen.
Super epic, yeah.
Most of the time the team will go to a four-man rotation, tighten things up. Who do the White Sox go to? Who are their 4 pitchers? Because you have 5 legitimate choices. Somebody that deserves to be in the postseason probably won't.
Ooh, and I think the one who won't will be Dylan Cease. I think he's the one that will be the odd man out. You can't take Rodon out. He's an all-star. You can't take Lynn out. He's an all-star. You can't take Giolito out. He's an all-star last year, and he's your ace. So you know what I mean? Like, so what else are you supposed to do here? Like, you're looking at Dylan. You're like, I like you. You're good. You're solid. But yeah, you got to sit this one out, my man. Or go to the bullpen with it. And things like that. But yeah, I think your 4 is pretty set. I don't
know. I kind of like.
You're not gonna take out Dallas Keuchel, man. Like,
I might take out Dallas Keuchel.
Oh man,
you really want to take out a guy with that experience, though?
Yeah, La Russa's not doing that. Like,
I don't see him doing that.
Dylan Cease stuff has been nasty.
Agreed, but
the results are
no.
Yeah. What? I mean, look, Dallas Keuchel's results haven't been that fantastic this year.
Not that, no, they haven't been super fantastic. But if I had to choose a playoff game, who I'm going with, like, I'm going with Dallas Keuchel, man. Like, I have to take that.
Yeah,
like,
I agree with you, Dave.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I got to take that, bro. I have to.
We know Tony La Russa is going to go with the veteran over these. We know that, but I don't know, man. I ride the hot hand.
I hear you. Could Cease go to the bullpen? Could he make his way there, or he just won't play at all?
I mean, they probably have him in the bullpen as for those middle innings, and because you'd rather go with you're a really good starter than some potential bum middle reliever. Right.
And we don't have many of that. That's the great
not anymore. Yeah, I mean, but if somebody can't go more than 3 innings, you bridge that gap to Kimbrel and Hendricks.
Yeah.
And that makes that that's a weapon there.
Yeah, a serious weapon right there. But I mean, you're right. Cease has been nice, man. But they're not going to take Dallas out. Like, I just don't see that happening, like, at all. I don't see that going down that way. So, but Dylan's been good. Dylan's been very good, and he deserves to be looked at for that. Like, he definitely deserves to just, maybe should he kind of, but at the end, you're gonna go with Dallas Keuchel. Like, you're gonna do that.
Did the White Sox do enough at the trade deadline to put themselves over the hump?
When you say hump, you mean World Series hump, or
yes, to get them into World Series.
You know what? I'm a fan, so I'm gonna say yes, but the baseball person in me says no. This isn't a World Series team. They're built to be a World Series team, but I still think they got some lumps they got to take before they get there to do that. But yeah, they made great moves, man. I mean, getting Cesar Hernandez, I mean, getting that second baseman is a great move. Like, that's an awesome move. Rick Hahn has been amazing in the moves that he's made. It's been really great. But I don't know, man. I don't. Houston is a monster, man. Like, you know, like the Yankees are surging right now. Like, those teams worry me, and especially with the fact that they have struggled against teams that are over 500. Like, all season long, they've struggled with those teams. So when you get to the playoffs, obviously that stuff's going to come to fruition right there. And I don't see that, you know, carrying over to make them a World Series contender this year. I see them more as a dark horse, a threat, you know, but I don't see them as like a legitimate serious contender to get in the World Series. Now, would I love to be wrong? Absolutely. Like, prove me all kinds of wrong right here. I don't care. But yeah, I don't. If I just had to say it right now, like, I'll say no.
I don't know. They're my World Series pick. I think.
Yes, I like it. Come on.
I think the White Sox and the Rays are the two best teams in the AL.
Oh, talk to me. So the record against 500 teams doesn't concern you?
No, I mean, that's what you do is in baseball. You got to beat up on the bad teams, and then you do the best you can against the good teams. There's not a lot of teams that are, you know, the good teams just beat up on each other. Mm-hmm. And once you get into the postseason, it's all good teams. All you got to do is just be one game better than the team you're playing.
Well, yeah, and I do think that Tony La Russa, I mean, that's it. That is his time to shine. Is when he gets to the playoffs. That's when he, you know, becomes Tony La Russa. Like that. That's when the chain starts blinging. That he's rocking. That joint starts blinging, you know, and shining bright because his mind is going to be on point, and because he's great. Like, he has the resume to show you how great he is at it. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think it's insane to say that. It's just not something I believe yet.
I mean, I would have liked to seen them bring in another bat, but you know, some of the young kids that they've brought up were good. You know, you got Eloy back. You're getting Robert back. You're going to get Grandal back. I mean, your staff is stupid stacked. Yeah, you know, the staff that they have is the staff that the Dodgers thought they were going to have this season, and you know, the Dodgers are now going out and trying to sign Cole Hamels' 400-year-old arm to pitch for him. Cole Hamels, I think, is 40 years old, and they signed him out of sitting on the deck of drinking a beer. And like, you know, the White Sox has got to be feeling good about themselves.
They should be. Yeah, they should be feeling very good about themselves, man. They top to bottom, they're stacked. It reminds me of those, like that La Russa A's team, you know, that didn't really have too many flaws. You know what I'm saying? Like, they had the great leadoff inning, obviously, Ricky Henderson. You had the power with the Bash brothers. You had the great pitching, you know, like Dave Stewart and those guys. I mean, you had the great relief, Dennis Eckersley. And, you know, they were stacked. They were amazingly stacked right there. But I don't know, man. I don't know what's stopping me from believing it right now. But my fandom is with you, for sure. My fandom is like, yeah, we all the way. But something is stopping me from saying, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. So maybe it's just because I don't want to believe. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want.
That's the Chicago sports fan in you. Yeah, it's part of all of us. You know, I mean, a few years ago, you know, I as a Cub fan in 2016, I was trying to believe, but I was always preparing for the worst. I mean, I'll never forget in 2010 when the Bears were going to the NFC Championship. I said, there's no way we're winning this game. Even though we were playing the game at home, I prepared for the worst. And I always said, you know, if I prepare for the worst, I won't be disappointed. The only times I was ever just fully confident, honestly, in my lifetime in my team was the Blackhawks. But that's just because they proved time and time again they could win. So like 2013, 2015, I had all the confidence in the world they were going to win, but they were already proven winners at that point. Heck, going into 2010, I was kind of nervous about them winning it. So, you know, honestly, I understand that feeling. I really do.
Well, Alex, I know you weren't born at this time, and I don't know how old you are, Dave, but I lived through the 85 Bears season, and that was the one time as a Chicago fan I felt so supremely confident. I mean, the Bears released the Super Bowl shuffle in week 4. Like that wasn't, they didn't release that after they won the Super Bowl or during the playoff. They released that week 4. That's how confident everybody was. Like, we got this. We got this.
Yeah. No, I was definitely.
That's the one time in my 40 plus years of life that I was just like, I'm confident. Other than that is I sit there and I'm like, my team could be in the finals, about to win a championship up by an immeasurable amount. And with time winding down and I'm sweating still going there, something could happen.
And it's like when it was 2005, I had no doubt, like at all. I was like, the White Sox win the World Series. I knew it. Like, I just knew it. When it was 2016, Alex, like I knew the Cubs were winning. Like nothing in me said the Cubs were going to lose, I just felt like that was the time. Because I mean, maybe because I went to all the games at 2005. I was working with the White Sox at 2005. Mm-hmm. So I got to go see every single game. I was watching every single thing. So maybe that's why, that I got to just watch all of these games. So I knew what they were. And I was like, yeah, nobody beating this team. I just felt it. But yeah, it's just that feeling I have, you know what I'm saying? And the feeling I have for this is, I don't know. Like, I don't know yet, man. I just don't see it yet, but I hope I'm wrong. I would love to be completely, totally, utterly wrong. Cause I would love to just in the World Series, getting another trophy. And then knowing that the team that I have is still young, you know what I mean? So we'll come back next year and we'll be able to do something like this again. So yeah, I would love for that to be the case, Sean. I would love.
I mean, here's the thing: is you look at the teams that are going to make the postseason. The Athletics, that's a team of bargain basement, goodwill finds that they can't win a World Series. They could do good during the regular season. They just don't have the manpower. I mean, that team, like that. Most teams are out there with their big payrolls, and Oakland's out there like a kid pulling nickels and buttons out of their pocket and be like, what can this get me? Like a broken down first baseman that's 40 years old. All right, I will take him. What's his on base percentage?
Oh my goodness.
Nobody in the AL Central is going to the playoffs except for the White Sox.
Right.
All right. Astros are pretty good. The Yankees, man, they just don't got the pitching. I mean, they brought in all these people, but that team, I've watched that team lose some terrible baseball games. I don't think they can do it. The Red Sox, they're fading. The Rays are good. So, I mean, really, I look at it as a three-team race, and I like the White Sox.
I'm picking the White Sox to win the pennant personally.
Okay.
I think it's a 3-4 team race. I still wouldn't count the Red Sox out yet, especially if they're getting Chris Sale back. But pretty much everything else, I agree with Sean.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I'm with A. Yes, please. Like I would love to be incorrect on all of this, but
well, see, that's the best part of it. If you're incorrect, if you're correct, then you're like, well, I expected it. If you're incorrect, you're even more happy.
Oh no, I don't want to be. I don't want to be like, yeah, I'm right. I want to be so wrong about all of this, man. So I'm not gonna be happy or like, see, I told you so. Like I'm definitely not gonna do that. But they scared, like Houston worries me too, man. Just because I watched that series against Houston, those two series, man, and they just did not look ready for TV going up against that team. And so that is really probably where my worry lies, like playing those teams like that, and you still didn't look like you should be on the field with them. I mean, they out baseballed them.
Yeah, but here's the X factor. For me. Here's the X factor.
Sure.
Is every week on social media, I find, you talk about goons, I see video of in the stands at White Sox games of White Sox fans beating up other fans, beating up each other, fighting, yelling. And you know what? When it's time for the Astros to come to Chicago, they're going to be clanging garbage cans. They're going to be chanting. They're going to be screaming at these guys. That is your goon right there. That is your goon. You're going to have 40,000 goons out in the stadium ready to go.
Congratulations, Sean. You just went full meatball.
The fans are why we're winning. They're going to do it. They're going to do it.
The 10th man.
The 10th man.
I know my role around here, and it is the full meatball. I've got the marinara sauce with the ladle, just ladling it on myself. You know, I rubbing it out of my ashy elbows to get rid of it. Who remember some marinara on this?
Hey, you knew the assignment, sir.
Save some for Bears season, though.
Oh yeah. Oh, meatballing.
I want to jump into Dave. I know you want to talk our new quarterback.
Sure.
And I'm talking about the right one, not the wrong one.
There's only one. There's only one, man. I was talking to somebody today about Ryan Pace, and I was like, you know what? A broken clock is wrong or is right twice a day. And I was like, Ryan Pace lucked into Justin Fields. He lucked into him. There was no skill in that. He was going to draft some mid-level guy, a quarterback, and roll in there with Andy Dalton and then try to figure this out next year again. That's exactly what his plan was. And Justin Fields just fell into his lap, and the man lucked out because Justin Fields was a case study in NFL GMs like believing everybody else's hype, or the reverse hype, and dropping a player down that should have been the number 2 pick. Yeah. When going into this offseason was the most down on the Bears I had ever been. Ever. And I was really trying to contemplate, should I even watch them? I was thinking about looking at other teams. I was like, man, I might look at the Seahawks or something, like I didn't want to do this to myself anymore. I got tired. You get tired of getting, hurt in a relationship. And you know what I equated this to? It was like you're in a relationship and you're tired of it and you're sick of it, and you pack your bags and you're about to leave. And when you get to the door to try to open it, they're on their knee with a ring in their hand saying, "Marry me." Like that's really what this was. Like, I was ready to be out on you, and then they were like, "Marry me, come with me and be with me forever. Here's Justin Fields, be with us forever." I didn't believe it even when I heard it. Like, I was at a draft party, on a podcast draft party for this podcast called The Bear Essentials, and I was on there, and I mean, trust me, they'll tell you can go here. I was just telling them, no, this is trash. The Bears, they getting mad junk. Like, they ain't getting none of this, man. It ain't happening. Bears getting a black quarterback in the first round. Are you kidding? This ain't never gonna happen. Like, what's about to happen. Get ready. You know what I'm saying? This is gonna be, typical Bears stuff. And when they made that trade up, I was like, I felt that goon, that meatball kind of jump up in my stomach, and I tried to press it back down. Like, no, we're not going back. We're not going back. We're not doing this. And then when they did it and they got Justin, I couldn't believe it. I was too ecstatic. He is going to be a monster. Like, he's going to be a problem. The fact that I loved everything about him, the fact that he was angry that he fell in the draft. He wasn't even excited that he got picked by the Bears. He was angry because he was like, I should have been the top. Like you said, he was a top 2 quarterback and failed for no reason at all. Like, because people just said, well, I don't know. What do you think about him? Like, he might not be able to throw. He might not be able to know the playbook. He might not be able to do this. And he failed for that reason, which is, honestly, you see that with a lot of black quarterbacks, to be real with you. But it really bothered him. The
minute the Bears drafted him, I rubbed my eyes, and then I checked, and I was like, did this really happen? And then, like, I'm checking online. I don't believe the TV. The TV's lying to me. I'm checking online. It seems legit. And then the next thought is, and I literally, like 2 weeks before, I'm like, I am never buying another jersey of an active Bears player ever again.
Yeah.
I buy a jersey once they retire, and I'm like, I'm never, ever. And they drafted Justin Fields, and I'm like, my next thought was, all right, what color jersey am I getting? The answer was orange.
Yeah. My brother got me a Justin Fields jersey for a surprise. because I don't own Bears jerseys. I only own one, and that's Walter Payton. Because for years I refused to get another Bears jersey because I just felt like I was cursing them. And I am terrified of this jersey, guys. It is sitting in my closet. I refuse to wear it. I refuse to put it on. I just look at it like I can't allow. I won't allow myself to believe that I can put this jersey on, man. So yeah, it's yeah. I understand. I get you, man. Like when it happened, it was amazing. He's amazing. Like he checks all the boxes on something that you want in a franchise quarterback on and off the field. He checks all of the boxes. I love when Matt Nagy told the story of when he first met him at his pro day, and he gave him some plays, you know, that he runs and things like that. And when he saw him again later after the draft, he asked him if he remembered those plays, and he quoted them back to him word for freaking word, exactly what the plays were. I love that. Like that, he just did that to show you, like, yeah, dude, I'm that guy. This is me. I am that dude, and you guys better be ready. I don't have a problem with Andy Dalton starting the season. I really don't. I don't have an issue with him starting the season because I know Justin Fields will be in there sooner or later. It's gonna, like, you're not gonna keep.
Here's my reason: is number one, this is the quarterback battle that the Bears, for some reason, thought we were going to get last year. And you know, last year they were like, well, we'll bring in Nick Foles and he'll compete and either beat out Trubisky or make Trubisky, you know, harden him with fire and he'll be better because of the competition. And really, they just both made fart noises and sat down and it was terrible. This year is you said, all right, you look at Andy Dalton's stats, and if you made him a Bear during that same tenure, he's legitimately the best Bears quarterback in history. If you,
yep.
Stop it. Wait, say that again. No, say that again.
If you took Andy Dalton's career numbers and you take a Bears quarterback and had the Andy Dalton stats for his career, it's the single greatest Bears quarterback ever.
It's true.
It's you don't want to believe it, but you look at the paper and the numbers and you go,
no, I believe it. I just wanted you to say it again. I believe it.
You're like, good God. And, you know, but Andy Dalton has had a nice career, and you're like, okay, he's actually a guy that can legitimately play, and he's played well in training camp. And so you're like, okay, this is an actual real battle with two real quarterbacks. And the reason I'm okay with Andy Dalton starting is because that line has been beat up and there's nobody healthy. Right. And if somebody's going to get killed against the Rams, I'd rather no offense to the Dalton family, I'd rather Andy Dalton get killed than Justin Fields, because Justin Fields is the future of this team. Let him get beat up. Yep. Is that he's a 30-something-year-old man on the back nine of his career. And, you know, no matter what happens, he could probably play another 5 years as a backup quarterback somewhere and make a bunch of money.
Oh yeah.
But this line is, Tevin Jenkins still hasn't played. Larry Barome has a concussion. You know, everybody's got an injury, and you've been starting guys that aren't going to make this roster as you're starting right and left tackle.
Correct. And the two most important positions on the line.
Yeah.
You know, and it's crazy is because Tevin Jenkins, like, oh, he's got some back stiffness, we're not going to play him. But then he's sitting on the sidelines pulling golf carts with a rope and bench pressing, and you're like, this guy, I wish I was that unhealthy. I strive to be that unhealthy someday. I joined a gym to get that unhealthy.
Right. I work out to get to that. Yeah, you're right. No, dude, like I everything you said, I completely agree with, and it's the same exact thought I had. I'm okay with Andy Dalton being in there, taking all that and him absorbing that on the sideline and not getting hit in the face because the offensive line is not going to be good. And like you said, I mean, you got the Rams, dude, like your first game, like you got Aaron Donald, the first game, and you talking about, I want to put, no, I don't want to put my shiny new toy in that against that. You know what I'm saying? Not yet.
No, I don't want to see an Aaron Donald shaped hole inside Justin Fields' chest.
Right. Exactly. I'm good. But, and honestly, to that point, I think Justin Fields is thinking like, dude, I'm good enough. Like, I can make moves, you know what I'm saying, run around. I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool in the beginning, bro. But, you know, I'm telling you, that's going to get old quick. You're going to need a line. As Patrick Mahomes, like you're going to need a line. Like it's going to be helpful for you. So, yeah, I'm okay with him sitting. I'm quite okay with it. Take your time. You know what I'm saying? You know, get to know that offense a little bit more. You know, get that under your belt. You know, just being on that sideline, seeing what it takes and what you have to do. Because I have no doubts you're ready. I really don't. I don't have a doubt that you're ready. But I just want you to be ready, healthy wise. I just want you to be ready.
You watch the kid, and the arm is just special. It's you know what the video thing was going around today where he sidearm one as he's rolling the sidelines, and he just went right out of bounds afterwards. Like, I knew that was a touchdown, and just you know he could have moonwalked over there and been like, that's the only thing that could have been cooler. That was just an absolute perfect pass, and nobody could knock that down. Nobody was going to defend that, and it's either a touchdown or the wide receiver made a bad catch.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's all it be. Well, I want to know, Alex. I want to know what you think, man, because I haven't heard your opinion. What do you think about the whole Justin Fields thing?
Well, I'll tell you guys this. First off, I don't know if you guys knew this, but I actually got to see him play in person last Tuesday at Soldier Field during Family Fest.
Oh,
so right there, I got to look at him. I got to watch him throw. I got to watch him run, and all I can say is the kid has got it. Look, we know he's got stuff to work on. There's going to be some kinks that have to be worked out. I think reading defenses is going to be one of his biggest challenges, but if you just sit there and get rid of all like the analytics, the paper, whatever, just sit there and watch him throw and just look at the zip he puts on the ball. Like, it may sound like a small thing, but it's really not. I mean, the way he could just launch it. And I'm not talking about deep balls. Even on small cross routes or even a dump pass, the way he just zips it over to his target. I mean, how many times have we seen other Bears quarterbacks, you know, they're even on a short play, they're staring down their receiver. They kind of just flutter it, or, you know, they put it in a stupid spot where it's overthrown or at their feet. But he gets the ball, gets the snap, and even just on a simple dump pass, just zips it right to them. And again, it sounds like something small, but in my opinion, it's pretty significant. And there's just, I know it's a scrimmage. I get it's a scrimmage, and we can overanalyze scrimmages all day long. But I see a confidence. And look, the Bears defense is so far this preseason, this camp, has been really, really aggressive, really played well. And he doesn't seem fazed by it. He goes out there and, you know, he tries a little bit of everything. And he even showed off his legs a few times, and that got a big cheer from the crowd. He just had the ball, he tucked it, and he kind of ran between some guys. And even that was just like, wow, look at him go. Even just in a scrimmage game, you see the tools you've always wanted in a Bears quarterback, and they're there. We just want to see it in a regular NFL season game. We want to see that his mental skills can translate into the NFL. But, you know, Dave, you made the point earlier about how he recited the playback, like word for word. Can you look at many other Bears quarterbacks and say they could confidently do that on their first try as rookies?
No.
I know one that couldn't do it after 4 years.
Dude, I do. I talked about this the other day. I remember when Mitch went on the QB camp with John Gruden, and as soon as he walked in and he was going to sit down, Gruden said, "Stop, give me a hard count on 2," and he turned around and play, and he gave it. He said, and he did it like that, and he stood up like, "Yeah, so that's how I did it." And Gruden said, "Yeah, no, that's not a hard count." He's like, "That is not what I asked you to do." He said, "This is how you do it. You and that's how you do it. You do it on 2, like I said." And I remember thinking, like, this dude couldn't even do a hard count. Like, he couldn't even do a hard count. And then I'm like, this is the dude you about to draft? This the guy right there? That dude? So, yeah, none of these Bears quarterbacks will be able to do something like that, which is why it's so refreshing that Justin Fields is here.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at his athletic abilities, and I mean, to Mitch Trubisky's credit, he was and is, you know, still a pretty athletic person, but what good does it do if you don't have the IQ? Let me tell you
Right.
my overall thoughts on Jay Cutler. I know I've sworn not to talk about Jay Cutler, but I'm going to talk about Jay Cutler for a
Let's
second.
do it.
He was a terrific athlete. He really was. And his arm strength was top tier. And what I have always said is that if he just had better awareness and maybe a higher IQ and, maybe a better line, he could have been elite.
I think the problem with Jay Cutler was that he was too smart and he thought he was smarter than everybody in the room. So when he didn't trust anybody that was calling a play for him. And so he's like, well, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. And that's not going to work. I mean, the only people that works for are Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. And other than that is pretty much a no-go. And he was a wild card out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's pretty much how I feel. That's a much better way of putting it. He couldn't get out of his own way. And, sometimes you got to not dumb down, but you got to make sure that you adjust your skills, your mental skills to the same level as the rest of the team. Because, how many times did Jay Cutler make it? He knew what he wanted to do, but the pass would end up going right into the linebacker's hands or right to the cornerback's hands, and it was going the other way because it was never in sync with the rest of the team. Where I feel like Justin Fields, if I'm going to speak confidently, he's got the smarts to know to be on the same page with the rest of the team. I mean, again, if Jay Cutler, if there were different attributes to him just to kind of the guy he was as a football player, I think he could have been elite because, like I said, he was a fantastic athlete and he had incredible arm strength. But that can only get you so far, No,
you're absolutely right. Like, I do agree with both you guys in saying that. Like, he always thought he knew more than every single person that was there, and he carried himself in that way, and he still kind of carries himself in that way. But man, he was completely talented. Like, you saw the arm strength, you saw that he could move out the pocket. He had all of that stuff, the zip he put on the ball. But the dude, like you said, Shane, he's a wild card out there. You didn't know what he was gonna do because he had that talent. He's like, oh yeah, I could slip it in here between three people. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, it's going to happen. It was a very Brett Favre mentality, and he said Brett Favre is one of his favorite quarterbacks. But it was different. It's not surprising at all. But the difference was Brett Favre knew when to check it down. He knew when to check it down. Like, oh, Ahmad Green, there you go. He knew when to do these things.
Yeah.
Edgar Bennett, there you go. Like he knew when to make that play happen. He knew when to hit that. Little 6-yard out. You know what I mean? Like he knew when to do that, and then he knew when to, take a risk. So it was calculated, a little more calculated, a tiny bit more calculated with Brett Favre than it was Jay Cutler, man. But man, all that talent and all that skill still didn't throw for 4,000 yards. Still couldn't get over over 35 touchdowns or something like that. We still have never had that in the history of the Bears. Somebody throw for 4,000 yards
in the century existence of this franchise. This isn't the Jacksonville Jaguars. This isn't even the Tennessee Titans, who were once the Houston Oilers. This is the charter franchise of the NFL.
Right. Exactly, man. And
you'd think at some point you could have lucked into a 4,000-yard passing season.
Yeah, of course.
Just fell into it. Yeah, you could just fell into one. Like Mitch could have fell into one. A 4,000 yard season.
Rex Grossman could have. Jim McMahon could have. Jay Cutler could have. Have you guys ever seen Eric Kramer? Sure. You could list so many names. I mean, let's be real here.
Oh, yeah.
Quick question for you guys. Have you ever seen the clip? It's on YouTube. At least it was. I haven't checked in a while. But Jay Cutler under the hot mic as a Bear. He's going to the huddle. And he yells, "Tell Mike Martz I said fuck him," and then he snapped the ball.
He hated Mike Martz.
Wow.
I mean, so did everybody.
Wow. Jay Cutler's a fool, man. But that dude's a fool.
I mean, I get if you like Mike Martz was a hot mess by the time he came to the Bears.
He was.
But to just try to show up your offensive coordinator like that on the regular is just like, that is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I tell people about Jay Cutler. Because I have a cousin, my nephew, he's a staunch Cutler defender. And I tell him all the time, I was like, dude, you can argue Martz, you can argue the offensive line, all that. I was like, all that is true. Here's the problem, though. They gave him the offensive line that he wanted. They gave him the center that he wanted. I mean, he wanted Garza to be his center. Garza wasn't a center to start. Garza was playing guard. But he was like, I want him to be my center. They gave him the center he wanted. They rebuilt the offensive line. They gave him the running back he wanted. He wanted Brandon Marshall. He wanted his best friend. They went and got his best friend. He wanted another big receiver. They went and got Alshon Jeffrey. He was like, I'm going to need a tight end with that. Then we go get Bennett with that. Then we go get Martellus Bennett. Mm-hmm. They gave, and then they were like, well, we'll let you in on the coaching hire too. What you think about Mark Trestman? Oh, I like him. You guys should hire this dude. He should be the coach. Let's go ahead and get this guy. So they gave him everything he wanted, and then the cherry on top, they made him the highest paid player in the NFL. Like on top of all that, they gave him every single thing that he wanted, and you got the same exact production. So that was always my issue. He everything you said, you're right. Now I remember that game when he got beat up by the Giants. I remember when he threw all them interceptions when he first got here in his first game. I remember that. I remember he threw 4 interceptions to one human being. But it was because he was getting beat up and punched in the face and Jamarcus Webb and all those things. Yes, all that is factual. But when he got everything he wanted, every single thing that he wanted, they shored it all up. The same dude. It was the same dude. And that's the issue. That's the main issue.
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. Jay Cutler he's the type of guy that you could look back and say, yeah, he technically was the best quarterback we've ever had. And I think it's also fair to say, you know, we can sit here and say, I don't have to be a full color hater or a full color defender, because that's kind of where I am. I say, you know what? There were times I think he got shat on too much. And there were other times where I think the criticism was very well warranted. And it didn't help that Jay Cutler's attitude was not the best. It really did not help. Now, with all that said, you can put that behind you and say, we know how that went. We saw the goods, we saw the bads. Unfortunately, the goods did not equal the bads. In the end of the day, you only won one playoff game with him. You couldn't beat the Packers with him. You only started 2 games with him in which he beat Green Bay, 2 out of 6 years? I mean, that ain't a lot. So you could say we've gone down that road, and we're looking at something that is kind of the opposite. You have the great attributes like Jay Cutler had, but you have a very different attitude. And the way that you just see experts and coaches and just other people around the NFL praising the work ethic of Justin Fields is such a breath of fresh air. And look, you know, you could say about Mitch Trubisky, his work ethic, you know, I liked his attitude. He had a good attitude. Yeah. He was not a hard guy to root for as a person, but when you don't have the talent, you don't have the talent. I mean, I could have the best attitude about being a famous 80s rock singer. That doesn't mean I'm going to go out and belt out Bon Jovi, you know, because I know I can't sing for shit. But when you have the talents to be a great player and you have the right attitude, it's like, it's not only amazing that you have it now, but it's amazing you're looking at this whole situation and thinking, how has this never come together in the 100 years of this existence? Like, that to me is what gets me more than anything. Now, who is the quarterback? Was it Eric Kramer? It was one of the quarterbacks the Bears had where he had his ups and downs, but he just wasn't likable at all. What? Because I don't really remember before Rex Grossman. I was just too young or not born yet. So you guys might need to help me out here.
Yeah, there's ups and downs, but he wasn't likable. Cade McNown.
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Yeah.
He had way more downs.
Way more downs.
Right.
Right. I'm trying to remember some ups.
Marcus Robinson season when he would just throw it up in the air to Marcus Robinson and now, you know, he just catch it. Robinson had a 1,400-yard season that year. He would just throw it up in the air to him. So
yeah. But I mean, another thing that I'm excited about with this Bears team is a part of the defensive struggles last year were when we realized that one of our inside linebackers and Danny Trevathan got slow. And we're like, all right, that's a hole. And now we picked up Alec Ogletree for on the cheap. And the guy has been a human highlight reel with interceptions in training camp. And I'm here for it.
Sneaky good move.
Yeah, if you can find a way to put him in on those pass plays where they're looking to exploit Trevathan, and I'm liking what Sean Desai could do with this defense. I think he could be the key to turning this defense around.
Yeah, I don't see I don't have a disagreement with any of that. You're right. But you called Trevathan, but my question mark is Robert Quinn. Because it was anybody I was yelling at more. It was Robert Quinn, man, because he was the one that came in who I'm like, oh, okay, we got both of these ends shored up. We're gonna be good. And I mean, he just completely disappeared. And I forgot he was even on the team, and which is not good and very sad. And he makes too much money for that to be the case. You know what I'm saying? Like they paid him a buku boatload of money to, do what he does best. And he did not do that. So he owes the Bears a season this year, man, because I don't think they're going to give him another shot at it if he puts together another season like that. I don't know all about his contract or anything like that, but I think you're going to be looking to try to get him out of here if he puts another season together like he did, because you can't afford to have that on your team. Because the guy, you can't waste Khalil Mack's years. Like, he's only got a few left here. Like, you can't keep wasting all this talent and all these years that he's got. And he's got to get an opportunity, man, to get to make that deep run in the playoffs. So, and Robert Quinn's got to put it together. So, yeah, I'm looking at him. I'm definitely.
I think he's going to do it this year. I mean, if you look at Pro Football Metrics, we saw what Robert Quinn did was very analogous to what Leonard Floyd did. Is the numbers of quarterback pressures were real high, just never got home, never got to the quarterback with it. Yeah. And I think, and I really wanted the defensive coordinator to do a good job when he came in and replaced a legend, and just didn't work out. And I think Sean Desai this year is, he's fiery. He wants to attack. He wants to bring back the turnovers. He wants to really apply the pressure. And I think the schemes he's going to do are going to, emphasize Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn getting to the quarterback. And we're already seeing that in training camp. And you're even seeing good things from Travis Gibson and Jeremiah Atauchu. And you're like, all right. If we can, these guys look like they are in training camp come, the preseason games and regular season, this defense could make a huge bounce back.
I hope so, man. They need to. I don't want to sound too much like a meatball, but the Bears are synonymous with defense. Like, this is what we do. We have to have our defense. I know you guys are playing offense, but we got to have our defense. So, yeah, they have too much talent to have their defense. Now, I'm also, and I'm going to ask you guys this. What do you feel about the loss of Kyle Fuller? Because I think that's a big one. But do you think that's going to be replaced? Like, do you think the guys that they're going to have in that position can replace his production?
I mean, it's going to depend on those four guys in the front, getting to the quarterback. If Robert Quinn and Khalil Mack both put up double-digit sacks, I'm not that worried about the defensive backs and the corners being able to play, because there's going to be a lot of help with them. Cornerback's a lot easier position to play when your outside linebacker, your edge rushers are getting to the quarterback. And Jaylon Johnson played real well for a small school rookie coming in. They've got some veterans in there that can play decent. And they've got drafted the kid from Oregon that they like. So I think they could be okay. I miss Kyle Fuller. I loved Kyle Fuller. I loved the way he played.
Absolutely.
But honestly, I would rather have Eddie Jackson back to form than having Kyle Fuller.
Ooh, that's an interesting take.
I kind of have a hot take on Kyle Fuller.
Uh-oh, here we
And
go.
this
Let's
could be
do it.
very, very hot. Now,
Let's do it.
Don't get me wrong. I liked Kyle Fuller. He did a lot of good things, but I kind of felt like he choked a lot in big situations. When there was a big game-winning pick on the line, he'd drop it. Remember
Thinking of one game in
2018 week
particular.
one?
Yeah.
A year before that, 2017. Do you guys remember the game against the Lions where it was a very close game? It was at Soldier Field. It was when who was that kicker before Cody Parkey? Connor Barth.
Oh, Connor Barth.
Connor Barth.
Gosh.
Do you remember when he missed that game-time field goal by like 100 feet?
Connor Barth was the worst.
So if you guys remember, before that sequence, the Lions took the lead with a field goal. Now, on that drive, Kyle Fuller had a pick right in his hands, and he dropped it.
I do remember this.
And there, I'm not trying to crap on the guy because I think overall he's a very good player, and I didn't want to lose him. I think losing him stinks, but I can remember some big moments where he had to come up with the play and it didn't. He did a lot of good things, in many other games. Don't get me wrong, but those two instances I remember in particular. The pick.
He also had that big drop interception on Aaron Rodgers that would have sealed the win against the Packers.
Yes. Oh, man.
Well, that's what I was referring to for the first time. Yeah. Week 1, 2018.
That
was right to him.
Yeah.
My soul left my body at that point.
Well, when that was dropped, you knew that Aaron Rodgers was getting in the end zone.
He's not going to make that same mistake twice. Yeah.
Right. That game. I mean, the pain of that game was erased when they beat them to win the division in week 15, which honestly was one of the best days of my Bears fan life. But that week 1, boy, was that a dark night after that loss.
Boy, listen, a tale of two halves.
Yeah. When they were up 20-0, I'm like, watch, they're going to blow it.
Dude, I remember being at my brother's house and in his man cave, and at halftime, because we're not used to having anything as Bears fans, okay?
Right.
So, but at halftime, we had Return of the Mac playing, and we was having the time of our lives. We just felt like we were like Khalil Mack walked in off the street. It's killing these people. We are the greatest. Oh, we are winning. This is the best. So we were celebrating like the game was over. And yeah. the Aaron Rodgers stuff. Yeah, man. That's life of the Bears fan. This is why I almost left. Stuff like that. Like, this is why I was like why am I putting myself through this? Like,
I almost left too,
this.
man. I almost left too. It was honestly, I almost did.
They put a ring on it. That's what happened. They put a ring on it, Alex.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
It's you. There's some roughness in there. At least we know that this is the last season Aaron Rodgers is playing in Green Bay.
Oh, yes. Oh, isn't it great to watch them implode? Isn't that great?
Oh, it feels. I mean, I hate that it sort of worked itself out for this year. I was really hoping for a disaster year, and them to have their junk quarterback that they drafted in the first round have to go out there and play. And I was going to be here for it, but we'll just have to wait for next year when Justin Fields goes out there and just owns the Green Bay Packers for 15 years. And I just take it in, rub it in Green Bay's face.
Slow too. Rub it in slow.
It's getting hard to hear you, Sean. There's a lot of meatball sauce.
I've got my Marty Havlat crock pot over here full of meatball sauce.
Oh man, dude! Like it's time. It's just time. That's all. It is time.
And I'm hearing word that next year Aaron Rodgers will be in New Orleans.
Ooh,
I'd actually like to see that. That would be really intriguing.
Very. Oh
no, because then they would win a Super Bowl. I don't want to see Aaron. I guess it would be fun to watch all those Packer fans that were like, Aaron Rodgers is a big baby and he's overrated, and watch him just win a Super Bowl with somebody else.
Honestly, if he went to another team and he wasn't, if the Bears weren't in the Super Bowl and they weren't facing the Bears at any point, if I saw Aaron Rodgers win another Super Bowl with another team, I wouldn't care.
I would drive the however many hours up to Green Bay and bottle tears and just like, give me them tears. Give me them tears.
We've been hurt. We've been hurt for a long time, man.
Guys, I lived my whole life getting owned by Green Bay. I mean, I was born in 94. So the only time they had any success against Green Bay in my lifetime was in the mid 2000s from 05 to 07. I guess you could count 08 in there too, because they won that one overtime game where it was like negative 20 degrees. But, you know, in 05, they swept them. In 06, they shut them out in week 1. In week 17, it didn't mean anything. And then they swept them in 07. And then you won against them in 08. Outside that, I mean, they haven't done anything against Green Bay. My whole life, they've had either Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre.
Yeah, mine too. It's insane. It's insane. What an insane run. And it's time for it to end. That's all I know.
Dave and I at least lived through 85 through 88, where the Bears won 8 in a row, which felt good.
Oh yeah, my dad would always tell me that. He's like, yeah, you know, when I was young, it was the other way around. The Bears were always the ones beating Green Bay, and it's like,
yeah. And you were born, Alex? 94.
Yeah.
94 was the start of the Packers winning 10 straight against the Bears.
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't that the what year was it where it was just that horrible storm outside and Brett Favre destroyed the Bears because they had on those horrible uniforms and they retired Ditka and I think Gale Sales number at halftime.
I remember the game. I remember.
Game. Yeah.
But I don't remember what year that was.
I don't remember. I think Favre threw a 99-yard touchdown pass to Robert Brooks, if I ain't mistaken. Like, yeah, just my guy. It was just horrendous. It was on Halloween too. Yep, it was on Halloween. Yep, I remember that. Yep, it was in October. It was on Halloween. It was a storm, and the Bears had on the most hideous jerseys I had ever seen. And it was Mike Dick had to have. That's where the Mike Dick drop where he said, "Go Bears!" That's where that came from. That's exactly the game that came from. And it was terrible weather. And I'm talking about from beginning to end. Brett Favre went insane on the Chicago Bears, man. And was laughing the entire time he was doing it. I'm tired of their smiles, man. I'm tired of it.
And
sick of it.
The first time the Bears ever beat Green Bay in my lifetime, I was, 5 years old. It was, I think, a week after Walter Payton died. And I don't remember this happening in person, but like I looked back at the game and it was 14-13 Bears.
Yep, I remember.
And a chip shot field goal. Yep. And who was it who blocked it?
Brian Robinson.
Brian Robinson, yeah. Mm-hmm. He just gets up there, and I truly believe that Walter Payton's spirit grabbed under him. He used his angel wings, lifted him up, and he blocked that kick. And there was a chip shot field goal. It's not like it was 50 yards.
It sure was.
Who's the quarterback that took over that game? Because I remember them going over to the side. No. It was the kicker who missed a field goal on the Bears, whoever it was at the time. And I remember they show it's on YouTube. They show a clip of him after the kick was blocked, like falling to the ground, like praising the heavens, like, thank you. After that kick was blocked. And then they go over to Brett Favre, who's on his hands and knees. And then all of a sudden he just pouts his head into the ground when that kick was blocked. It's like, I'm thinking that was really the first time they ever beat Green Bay in my lifetime is when I was like going into kindergarten. Jeez.
Hey, man, you know why I remember that? Because I had a friend who was a huge Green Bay fan, and we had a bet on that game. And the bet was, and I'm not a gambler like that, but I bet him this game. And the bet was I had to wear a Packers jersey if the Packers won. He had to wear a Bears jersey if the Bears won.
Classic.
And I'm talking about I had a Rashawn Salam Bears jersey, and he had to go walk around all day long with that jersey on. And he is not my size. He is not my size. And he had to walk around looking like a toddler with this jersey on, man. It was the greatest thing. I will never forget that game, man. I will never forget that because I just really appreciated Walter and Brian Robinson that game, man. They hooked me up. I appreciate it.
Love it.
Well, we should probably wrap this up. It's getting late here, but Dave, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. As always, you are a fantastic guest.
Thank you. Thank
and you know, you want to hype yourself up and you know, and promote anything you want to promote.
Sure. Again, first of all, I love coming on here with you guys. Like, it never feels like time flies. I mean, it never just feels like it's hours. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like it's minutes when I'm talking to y'all. And it's just so much fun. I really do appreciate it. You can check me out on my podcast, Bawl, on Bulls, with my boy Chris, but I have to say it right. Bow on Bulls. Anyway, you listen to podcasts, we're there. You can also check me out doing Locked On Bulls with my main man, Matt Peck. That is every single day, 5 days a week, ladies and gentlemen, talking Bulls and other foolishness and wonderfulness. And that's anywhere you listen to podcasts. And you can also check out our YouTube channel to see us doing it live over there also. So 2 ways to check us out there. And I'll also host a show called Open Gym Sports and Culture on YouTube, where we talk about things going on in the world of sports and in culture. And that's also very fun to do. That is on YouTube, and that's also in podcast form on the Bawl Sports podcast feed. So, yeah, a lot of ways to check me out and see the things that, you know, is going down.
And one quick question. Have you watched Suicide Squad yet?
I'm in the middle of it. Now, I started early this morning watching it. So I'm in the middle of it, and already I'm very entertained. And if it keeps going like I'm going, I'm ready to say have some really wild takes, because I'm very upset. I've always been upset at DC films, and they always get it wrong. And I'm like, see, you had to get it right. You had to go get a dude who directs Marvel movies. You know what I'm saying?
Right on.
Finally figure out.
I don't want to be a spoiler because it literally just came out and you haven't finished watching it yet. And Alex, I don't know if you've watched it yet, but there's a point. So at the beginning of it, I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. And then it hit a certain point and I went, God damn, this is good.
Yep. Yeah. They know how to, like, watching it, just literally watching from the beginning. I'm like, this is already better. Like, already, I'm like, just 15 minutes in, I'm like, this is better. Nope. This already wins. You know what I'm saying? This is better. And so if it's what I think it is, I'm preparing myself to call it the best DC film ever.
Yeah. I might already be in that camp.
Yeah, man. I like it. So, yeah,
are
I can't
we
wait to finish
including the Nolan trilogy in DC? Or are you just talking DCU?
I'm calling DCU. I'm not including Dark Knight in there. Okay. Because Dark Knight was come on.
Yeah, it's one of the best movies of all time.
We're not talking Christopher Nolan. We're not talking the Richard Donner Supermans. We're talking about DC Universe. This is
okay.
This or the first Wonder Woman are right at the top.
Yeah,
because you almost gave me a heart attack. Okay,
no.
that's good.
No, they have an Oscar. I can't say to that. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, like, the Dark Knight like influenced culture, man. I mean, when it came out, I will never forget when it came out. It came out when I was going into my freshman year of high school, and I just it was such a big deal. And you know, a lot of people were like, "Oh, Twilight this, Twilight that," and everyone's like, "No, Joker, Dark Knight, come on."
Yeah. How dare you? Don't hang around people who were talking to you about go see Twilight over the day. They're not your friends.
which at some point then it intersected, and then the sparkly vampire became Batman.
Yes, isn't that wild? Yes, that is very true.
Same universe. Wow. It's confirmed. It's the same universe.
He's gonna open up his shirt and it's gonna be just full of diamonds. We're like, I knew it.
I feel bad for him though. Like, I legit feel bad for him because like he's been forever labeled as the sparkly vampire. I'm like, dude's a good actor. Like, it's kind of a shame.
He is a good actor.
He was. It was him and what's the guy that was in the bad guy in the first Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. They were in a movie called The Lighthouse that was like super good. I'm like, wait, sparkly vampires, good.
Yeah, he can act. Even in what was the movie just recently with John David Washington? Tenet. Even in Tenet, he was good in Tenet. I'm like, yeah, this dude can act. Like, I know he can act, but you know, when I look at him for real, that's all I see him is in a tree being sparkly. That's really what I see.
I just try to be like he was Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter. He was Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter. I try to overpower that with, because I loved him as Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter. I'm like, he's Cedric. He's not Edward. He's Cedric. He's Cedric. He's Cedric.
And all you hear in your head is Team Edward.
Sad but true.
And then what was the sparkly werewolf? Didn't he get like all Sean Kemp fat?
Oh, for real, Taylor. What's his name?
Lautner? Taylor Lautner.
Yeah. Didn't he get fat like Sean Kemp?
He did. I hope not.
Because I don't know. We never talked about Sean Kemp. Like that guy looked like he ate Sean Kemp.
Yeah.
And like they did that man dirty. They were like, let's give him a slim fit shirt at the at the Kraken draft. They were like, how can we embarrass this man? Let's give him a dry fit, ultra stretchy shirt. And they're like, oof.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I know Taylor had some really bad movies. And after that, I honestly haven't seen him in some years, but he had some really bad. Yeah, he's had some really bad film. I think the last thing I really remember him in was like Adam Sandler film. I think it was Grown Ups. I remember him like in that movie with Chris Rock and Kevin James and Salma Hayek and them.
He was in that movie?
He was when they went to the creek and they met up with the young kids that were there, messing with them, egging them on, to jump off the creek and stuff like that. He was the one in the front.
I guess I just forgot. I haven't seen that movie in a while.
Yeah, but see, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not memorable enough. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I remember him in
You're
Shark
like when
Boy
you
and
have
Lava
to pause the screen to be able to find him.
Right. There he is. Out there. He said Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Oh my goodness, he was in that. Wow. Yeah, Taylor, he's had a tough time, man. So hopefully he there's a lot of TV shows out here. So hopefully he can get one of those going for him, man. Because goodness.
But that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, AlexPatSportsChat.blogspot.com, or Facebook at AlexPatSportsChat. Share this podcast with your friends. It's how we grow the show. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her, you can have her, she's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van, and she looks like...
Remember, New Yorkers, smoking crack is not legal on the plains. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears! Oh, when the Bears go bearing down